DCI always been there? And it's just kind of been like the thing, like everybody looks to DCI and they follow these regulations. Are there consequences for not following the regulations? How do you get because I would love to see a DCI-ish of dance. And then there are member organizations and they're bought in and they have voting power and there's committees and there I would love to see that, but I can totally see all the pushback happening if we were to try to establish something like that. Is there pushback? Are there consequences if you don't follow these regulations, and what are they?
As we've developed any standards, like in any organization, I want, I don't know if pushback is exactly the right word, but there's certainly reticence or unawareness on the part of people, especially if, if they're like anything else, have been doing something the same way for a long time.
Yes. Mhm.
People aren't necessarily super open to change. I do think that we're fortunate that we work in a space where people are generally progressive, and I don't necessarily mean that in a political sense per se. I just mean that you're working around the arts, you're working around young people, you're pretty familiar with the issues that are being faced in those segments of, in society or surrounding those things. So, I think that in some ways, we're lucky that that's the case, but it would be false to say that there was no, reticence to follow along with some of these ideas or to understand the need for some of these ideas. And both of these, MASH, InStep, a lot of it was born out of the fact that there were safety steps or participant protection steps were applied unevenly across the member organizations. And the idea is to have them be applied more evenly, even if they're individualized to the groups, have at least, some, and not just as rules, but also just as information sharing, something you may never, not everyone is an expert in everything, especially when you're coming from like perhaps a musical or marching band background. So I hate to put it in punitive terms, but a lot of it's just like, oh, I never heard of that. I didn't know we should have an athletic trainer instead of a nurse, or not instead, but that they would have a specific expertise that's perfect for this. Maybe I didn't know that until Lori and her committee told us that, but once we are aware and understand the benefits of it, you can start to apply those things. So, the same might be said for some of the things with the participant safety, like whistleblower protocols, safe sport, that kind of thing. Not always pushback, but just understanding the why and how, or even hearing of it in order to implement it, So are there consequences? I mean, there have been, everyone, first of all, in order to participate, all the groups have to submit a specific set
Got
of
it.
policies and guidelines in order before you even go on the road each year. That has to be done. I
Hmm.
don't know that there's anyone who doesn't do it, but that's checked by DCI. Have there been groups that participant safety wise have been, come under scrutiny in some type of process? Yes, that has happened before. So, um, and I think, we all have the collective sense that anything that happens to one group is a negative for all of us because it's a small system and, it's a small community and ecosystem. So I think that's a part of it too. We know we have to all work together to make sure people are, protected at every group, at every level. So I think there's, I would like to think of it's more of a collaborative sense of moving forward rather than
I
punitive, but
think
yes, there can be consequences.